Nobody's listening, right? Hi, Andy.
Hey, boo.
Is anyone listening?
I'm going to look into that for you. How are you doing this morning?
Nice punting of this. I'm really good.
Are you?
Yes.
Oh, that's good to hear.
I'm really good.
Oh my gosh, somebody's listening. This is what's great. And maybe we make a new pact here. Maybe not. This just happened. I'm listening. I love this podcast and so happy they are back. Andy, Elizabeth are honest and refreshing. They take on others' problems with care and concern and, of course, humor. Then another one. Y'all, I'm totally listening.
Yay.
Then another one. I'm listening. So good to have y'all back. I missed y'all.
Is there a lot of y'alls?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes me happy. I love a y'all. I'm such a sucker for a y'all.
I bet you are.
And you know what else I'm a real sucker for?
Huh.
Thank you. I want to say thank you to everyone who's listening, and thank you for leaving the feedback, and keep it coming.
This is what we should do. If it ever stops, we'll just stop the podcast. If there isn't like a new thing. No, but listen. But if it doesn't stop, we will literally go until it stops. So that might be 30, 40, 50 years.
Well, I still want a podcast even if it stops.
We're trying to make an incentive here for people to leave the thing.
Oh, right. Yes. Okay, that's a very good plan.
Okay. Anyways, they're listening.
Thank you, everyone.
Somebody's listening. Getting my phone handy because I might have something I need to look. I wrote a note for this week's episode.
Okay. Another thing that I'm such a sucker for and warms my heart so much is a woman, older woman at a diner. Well, now that I'm at 42, it doesn't even need to be older. I'm right in the range.
Oh, yeah, I'm listening.
Who calls me honey.
Oh, you like that?
Oh, I love it. Now, if a man did, it just really is man dependent, like who it is. Generally, I would say I'm not a fan.
There probably is a particular man in a diner. He's got to be old.
Old, yes. We're talking.
He's got to be. There's a couple people that fit in that demo where I bet it could be endearing.
Yes, there are a sprinkling of them across this fine nation, but. Yeah. I love a honey and I love a y'all from a gal.
Can I tell you something I don't like? And I kind of did something about it today, and it's kind of this is new for me.
Okay,
I might be stepping into something here.
Oh boy, I'm nervous. What is it?
I went to Target this morning because I needed to get some Nestle's Quick and Hershey syrup for Totally Beverages and sometimes hot sauce. Mm-hmm. And as I'm walking in, there's a man walking in. He's a few feet ahead of me, and he's on speakerphone. And it just irritates the shit out of me when I see someone talking on speakerphone in public places. Because I'm like, why do you got to be on speakerphone, right? Mm-hmm. So he's talking. Should I describe this man? Anyway, he's like your typical entitled middle-aged white guy.
Got the picture.
Okay, you got the picture of this guy. I'm walking in, and I keep noticing him in the store. I'm going to give him a pass if he's just walking in the store, and then he's going to wrap up his conversation real quick, maybe, right? But I keep seeing him in the store, and he's on speakerphone, and he's passing me, and they're talking. It's very Hollywood. I hear him talking about Netflix, this and that, and I fucking called him on it. I go, hey, why you got to be on speakerphone?
Whoa. Oh,
yeah.
What?
Yes.
You did?
I did. And he goes, oh, I'm sorry. And then he got it off speakerphone. But it's like he wanted to have this conversation to the whole Target.
Yeah, well.
And I'm like, why are you doing that?
This is reminiscent of my plane ride where it wasn't on speaker, but someone just having a whole loud conversation on a phone where you're like, do you think all of us want to be having this conversation too?
Yes.
Now, here's what I will say.
Yeah.
A couple things. And I'm going to lead with love.
Oh, sure. I realize it was, well, go on. I'm curious. I can't wait to hear what you
also,
have to say.
I'm like such a hypocrite. I mean, back in the day, I've frequently done what you just did for like people with unleashed dogs. I'm screaming at them across the street, leash your dog.
Yeah, you be careful if you're around Elizabeth with an unleashed dog.
Well, I've definitely mellowed out about it. I mean, I'm not pro that, but I don't call people out on it anymore at all. I was in a place when that was going down. Just know with like the dog rescue thing. Do I keep clipping?
Yeah, I'm going to bring it down.
Okay. So anyway, but just the rage that I just saw a flash of when you were like describing like, and he's talking on speakerphone and
Yeah.
concerns me a bit because I feel like it's a rage that doesn't, that's like, yes, there's a breach of a social contract there.
Yeah.
But it feels very like, I don't know, like older Republican rage about people not doing things the way I see how it should be done. And I guess it wasn't the case because he apologized and put it on his phone. But I have a few follow-up questions about it. It could have been like, you just don't know about people. And this is something I try to remind myself, especially like with road rage. When I get upset with people, I'm like, you don't know what's going on with them.
Sure.
I don't know if this is a thing. Maybe people with hearing aids or things like that can't have conversations.
Crossed my mind. I assessed that situation before I
Oh my God.
before I
Pounced.
It was a quick assessment, but that definitely crossed my mind.
Okay. And then when you pounced, like just the way you just got kind of riled up, I'm like, did you pounce with rage, with venom?
With sarcasm, for sure.
What
Like,
was it that
it was
you
just
said?
like, it was like, we're trapped in this little aisle. Like I got to my breaking point when he was following me down into an aisle and I'm trying to find something and this conversation's going on. So to Mr. Hollywood, I said, hey, why are you on speakerphone? Like it was basically like that. Hey, why are you on speakerphone? So like a little,
oh boy,
a little anger, a little sarcasm.
Here's my follow-up question.
Yeah.
Would you have been embarrassed if you realized, oh, that's like our neighbor, Scott?
I mean, it's such a good question. And it's like, we'll probably run into this person at some point.
I'm like, oh no, he's...
In which case, I mean, I'll totally own it and I'll be the guy and we'll probably have a laugh about it, maybe.
I don't know.
I don't think I can lose in the situation. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, okay, if you're that guy and then we do run into him at a party,
Yeah.
do you want to role play it? I'm just kidding. But here's the thing. If he is like, if his opinion of me is like, oh, what an asshole.
Yeah.
You can have that opinion, but he doesn't have that much to stand on. Like, I can go through the world fine at that party and even like have a laugh with him about it. But it's also like, it is such a dumb thing to bring up. But for whatever reason, I was compelled this morning and I said something.
That's your perspective. So this is what I'm saying is your perspective is that what he was doing was so egregious that if you saw him at a party, like that's his shame still should be deeper than yours.
Oh, yeah,
But
I don't have any shame.
This is what I'm saying. But he recognized his mistake. And this is something I'm trying to remember also when I've raged on this very podcast so much about like, the religious right in this country and things like that, where I'm like, sometimes in certain cases, yes, it's warranted. But like if that guy had been like, fuck you, then I would be on your side 100%. But also I think there are a lot of times when you could just say, hey, do you mind taking that off speaker? And it's not in such an aggressive way. And they totally be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, I feel like I could have been that person easily, where I'm walking in, I was on speaker, I'm just like in a daze, I'm in my own world. And if someone pointed it out, I'd be like, oh, yeah, of course, which
Yeah.
it sounds like he kind of did.
Yeah.
Now, you, on the other hand, are the person who's letting this boil, or even worse, like not letting it boil,
Yeah.
and then snapping.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
But it wasn't like I snapped. Here's the thing. My course of action, I may have solved the problem forever for this guy. Your course of action, he's still talking on speakerphone and targets.
No. If I say, do you mind taking off speaker?
Yeah, it's a more polite way to do it.
And also, here's my other follow-up question.
Yes.
And I almost think I'm very curious about this. This might be the difference between a man and a woman. Did you feel good after that, or did you still have like high blood pressure and stuff about it?
Yeah, no, I didn't feel instantly good.
Because if I did that, and I have done things like that before,
Yeah.
it doesn't make it better for me.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It just ruins the entire experience on the front side and the back side. And you haven't done him any favors. I know you see now that you've fixed this problem for him, but I don't know. I just think it's things to think about.
Yeah. Well, here's the crazy thing.
Oh boy.
So I don't know what lesson is to be learned here, because as I'm in Target,
Oh no.
right?
I'm really nervous.
Okay. Then I check out, popped over to Starbucks.
And what'd you get?
Just a breakfast Sammy.
Oh.
And then on the way out, a new guy walks in, looks very similar to the other guy,
Oh no.
older though, and is doing the same goddamn thing. And so in my mind, there's two takeaways. One, I kind of did the right thing because this is a problem. Okay.
Oh my God.
Especially at this Target, and
Andy.
especially with middle-aged white men. Okay. Middle-aged white Hollywood entitled men. Okay. At Targets. Okay.
Very specific.
And these guys
I'm
were in the
imagining-
same demo. And listen, throw me in that demo if you want to throw me in that demo. It's fine. But I'm saying they were in the same demo. Okay. And I don't know what the takeaway is. One takeaway might be that it is a problem. And like, good for you, Andy. You spoke up and you said something. The other thing is like, Andy, you spoke up. That was a little rageful. And you're not going to solve this problem because guess what? We got another guy walking into Target right now doing the same thing. So it's you know, I don't know what the universe takeaway from this whole thing is, but it was pretty comical that then another guy doing the same thing comes in, yelling at the phone. That was the other thing too. You have it on speakerphone so everyone hears the other person on the phone, and you're yelling at the phone. Don't you know how a phone works? Just put it up to your ear. Talk normal.
Jeez, you sound like a very grumpy old man.
I
but-
also feel like now I feel like chances are high we're going to run into this person.
Cool. Well, I appreciate your passion, and also you bring up a great point about that you are part of the demographic, and that is important. And I feel like we've talked about this, like women's issues are actually men's issues, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Objectifying women, like having different expectations of them, paying them less and whatnot. These are actually men's issues, and that men, you know, I should hope and I trust that you do. Like, if you're in a group of men who are of your demographic, and someone says anything that's even remotely, you know, misogynistic or objectifying women,
Yeah.
that you bring the same passion in defending women and telling them that they're wrong.
Yeah.
Because that's where real change happens. It's not women. And of course, when women are like, hey, wait a minute, we're not getting paid as much for
Yeah.
the same job. Plus, we have to spend all this money on like all of this other stuff that you don't have to. So it's like, shut up, you whiny bitches. But when it's men doing the same thing, it's effective. And actually, I mean, one story that comes to mind, I'm sure you won't mind me sharing this at all because it makes him out to be a hero, is our brother-in-law, Brian,
Yes. Yeah.
was at like an event with a bunch of conservative rich people. which he very easily could seem like he's in that demographic. But,
Yeah.
And someone was talking, this was back when the whole trans bathroom bullshit was happening.
Yeah.
And someone mentioned something about like, well, I don't want blah, blah, blah. And Brian
Stepped
in and Brian described like the guy seemed totally fucking like shocked because he assumed with 100% certainty that Brian would agree with him.
Yeah.
And the guy, I think like that's an interaction that's going to change the guy's mind much more than some like social justice warrior or like the parent of a trans kid who's, I mean, it's really fucked up that that's the case. But,
yeah. That makes total sense though. I mean, it makes sense.
So to your point, I do think if anyone's going to change this, what sounds like it's an epidemic of Hollywood white middle-aged guys talking on speakerphone in Targets.
Yeah.
It's you.
Yeah.
And so in that sense, I guess you did do the right thing.
I did. And we don't need that guy's show on TV. I might have ruined his Netflix deal.
Were there any other networks mentioned?
I only heard Netflix.
Only Netflix.
That's the only thing I heard.
Okay.
I heard Netflix, and then I was like Hollywood, and then
Did you hear any other details about the project?
Yeah, I heard the idea was fucking solid. It was great. I'm totally kidding. Anyways, but yeah, I was a little.
I'll tell you what I want to rage about.
Sure.
People not using their turn signals in Los Angeles.
Yeah, that you kind of just have to accept that here. It's a thing.
But see, do I?
Yeah, maybe not. But I don't know what your well, you could use this platform for sure. But there's no in the moment platform.
There's no play here.
I had another interesting store situation.
Okay, go for it.
Okay. So I went to Home Depot with one of our kids. And I think it was an employee. Okay. And again, a similar demographic. Okay. White 40s guy. I'm pretty sure worked there. Maybe not, but I'm pretty sure. But we're rolling down an aisle and he looks over at us and looks at my kid and then rolled his eyes in like disgust.
What?
And then turned away. And I'm like, what the fuck was that? Now, our kid was wearing a Billie Eilish t-shirt.
Okay.
And a mask. Those are the only two things I can figure would have angered this guy.
Was the person wearing a mask?
No mask. Was it that, or was it that a young kid was wearing a Billie Eilish shirt?
Well, both could be. Maybe it was a tonnage issue. It was both, because I feel like the person who would roll their eyes at either of those things probably would not approve of both of those things. But to that I say, fuck you, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't roll your eyes at a kid. How dare?
Yeah.
Also an employee. I mean, you could have gone and complained about that employee if you knew it for a fact.
Yeah.
But
that would have been a hard thing too.
Excuse me, this person, I believe, rolled his eyes.
And I think he works here. Do you work here, sir?
And also then it becomes a thing for the kid who didn't notice it.
The kid didn't clock it at all.
Yeah.
But it was so perplexing to me. Now, the mask theory, there were still a ton of people in Home Depot wearing masks, including employees. So it wasn't, so I'm like, if you're working there and you're judging people about the mask situation, like, come on, that seems like torture all day long for you, because half the people in there are wearing masks.
That is so weird.
Right? So I'm like, was it the Billie Eilish shirt? I want to know the answer.
Okay, I have another thing to rage about, and then we'll move on.
Yeah. So you're worried about me, though, before we move on, about my rage?
No, it just like, I honestly no. But I feel like if there were a lot of these things, this is my thing about you.
Yeah.
For you to look out for.
Oh.
And I certainly have things as I age to look out for.
Oh, yeah.
And I think
I have the list if you want to check in with that.
I think what you said last week about like, I'm going to vote for whoever my kids tell me to vote for is very smart. It's a great like way to keep things in check. But my I love you so much just as you are. My concern for you growing older is that you're going to become a grumpy, crotchety, old, angry man, because we see this happen. Now, I will say this hasn't been the case with your dad.
No.
Which is very nice.
Sweetheart.
And no one knows about my dad.
Perished.
Gonzo. So, yeah, I just got a flash of that, and I think it's triggering for me because I'd be nervous that, like, basically everything you see at some point is going to have that effect.
Can I be honest? I have another thing. Wouldn't you guess, could you see your dad, though, confronting someone in public about a social thing?
Yes.
I feel like that resonates for me.
Well, Anna Marie and I, granted, this was very different circumstances, but we took a TWA flight right before Christmas to St. Louis, which my mom's corpse, I think, was on that flight.
Okay.
Andy's face. Because we were going to bury her. And
got it.
My dad flew a ton for work, so like he couldn't get on a flight without them upgrading him or using whatever. He had a whole like billfold with every.
Yeah, he was in the elite.
He was in the whatever club.
Yeah, okay.
So my sister and I are in coach.
He put you guys in coach?
Well, we just didn't get the upgrade. I mean, it's not like. Yeah. We're 19 and 22 also. It's not like we're children. And he's like,
gotcha.
It was a snowy situation. We landed this TWA flight. So this was like probably December 20 something, 1999. And there was a TWA strike. And we sat on that tarmac with the snow going there to bury my mom. For hours and hours and hours.
I'm sorry, and you might have already said this, and if not, this is a weird question. Did you say your mom was on the plane?
I think so.
Wow. Okay.
But I mean, I don't know, but I would assume so. We weren't charged. Maybe not. We weren't like the ones. We didn't check her. Whatever. Like, I don't think
that wasn't something you remember having to deal with beforehand at baggage claim or anything.
No.
Okay.
And we had a service here in Pasadena at that church, that has the long, tall kind of coral that's right there. And then flew to St. Louis, had a service at our church in Enunciado there, and then had the burial. And we did that twice in 10 months. I know, so.
Not the bury part.
Well, for my dad, too.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Christ. Yeah. Oh, my God.
But my sister and I were sitting in coach and heard my dad complaining. And also, like, there were people around us who were like, oh, this fucking guy in first class complaining. Yeah. We're all dealing with this, buddy.
Yeah.
And we were just like slinking down in our seats, like we do not know this person.
Right.
But he was a man of few words, and it would take a lot for him to get upset. But similar to you, I feel like then he would sit with it, and it would he would overcompensate for the situation with the feelings he had. But like, I believe he'd written a few letters of complaint. I also think he probably had a secretary write like letters of like, this was maybe not though. I don't know if he would have taken the time, but yeah, I mean, I could see him, but it would have had it like, that was the only time I was ever embarrassed by him. He wasn't like the dad at the games that is like getting kicked out and, stuff like that at all. He was like very generally,
I don't think that's my style.
Soft-spoken and yeah.
So
anyway, okay. I wanted to talk to you about scams.
Oh, please.
Oh, wait. Before I said there was one more thing I wanted to rail on.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of flights. How perfect. Great segue.
Mm.
Yesterday, airlines decided masks aren't, like the FDA, whatever, was masks are no longer required on flights.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Now,
Masks are scams. I know.
No. Masks are so scientifically proven to
Slow the spread?
slow the spread, and also like there was this whole chart about like the amount of time it takes to spread COVID without a mask, and then with this type of mask, and then with this type of mask, and blah blah blah. There were parents on those flights with kids who are not eligible for vaccines yet,
Right.
and kids who can't wear masks because you can't have a mask on a kid who's under like 2 or 3.
Right.
Who were mid-flight, had gotten on this flight with the assumption that there is this risk, like weighing the risk factor of flying.
Yeah.
Some have immunocompromised kids.
Mm-hmm.
The risk difference between having a flight full of people without masks versus everyone masked is enormous.
Is it?
I don't know. Yes.
Okay. I was wondering that recently
But
about
I'm
the
like,
flights, like how safe
how
or not safe they are.
fucking dare these airlines mid-flight say, "Oh, the rules are changed."
Like they got on the speaker?
Yeah, and everyone took off their masks.
Maybe that's a policy.
And
but it was,
people were
you know,
clapping?
It was a federal judge that did this. It wasn't the airlines. It was a judge. Oh, the CDC or FDA, one of them extended that. So it was supposed to expire like on Monday or something. They extended it for 2 weeks because they were like, let's see how this whole Omicron version 2 shakes out. So the CDC extended it. And so the airlines are like, we're going to do this for 2 more weeks. And then a federal judge struck it down yesterday. So that's what happened, that it got
Well, I wonder
pulled.
I wonder if legally they had to, but I'm also like, could they have just landed the plane and not said anything?
Yeah, that seems weird.
Because then I'm like, would people who were like, I had to wear a mask for another hour, are they going to sue or something? Because honestly, I hope there is a class action lawsuit against all of those airlines from people who chose to take on that risk level, and then mid-flight, it would be like mid-flight being like, oh, everyone, guess what? We can all smoke again. Light her up.
No, but you know the problem with the plane thing, and I'm sure you've flown during this. Haven't you noticed, like, isn't it kind of so weird, though? It's like, keep your mask on except when you're eating or drinking. Like, everyone just has them off anyways.
No, that's not true.
Really?
It still changes the risk significantly.
Yeah.
If you're on a 5-hour flight and people have their masks off for like a 20-minute period to eat, like that is still a big difference. And also it's just like, I don't know. I just like the rage I would feel. It's reminding me of the rage I would feel like reading about moms in Georgia a year ago during a surge when the schools basically were like, we're not enforcing masks. We're not even telling other parents if a kid in their class has tested positive, and the kid can still go to school if they've tested positive.
We heard...
If my kid got sick at school,
Yeah.
I would lose my mind with rage. I just don't even know how people are navigating these situations.
Well, you and I heard of an interesting thing at a small rural school that a kid got COVID, and instead of even having to deal with the mask of it all, the school just decided to go remote for a week. So they didn't have to tell anyone to put on a mask or not put on a mask.
Right.
That's how contentious the mask argument is.
Yeah. But in that school, I mean, at least the administrators chose to do something. Like there were all these schools in the South, and I'm sure other parts of the country, that literally were like imagine being a parent and a kid in your kid's class has COVID and no one even tells you.
Yeah, that'd be frustrating.
Like
to say the
and
least.
the kid's still going to school.
Yeah.
So you don't even have the opportunity to make the choice to pull your kid out of school.
Yeah, that's crazy. Crazy.
Okay, let's talk about scams.
Doesn't it fire you up, though? Don't you kind of feel alive with some of this rage?
Oh, yeah. But, I feel like during Trump, I felt like, and then through the beginning of the pandemic, I feel like my rage muscle is exhausted. I'm so tired of it.
It's thinking about you hear these stories about the airlines. I have a buddy that's a pilot that has told me that it's just like one of the things that happened was that the airlines took such a big hit that the prices of all the tickets went down a lot. So you had so many more people flying that had never flown before that might not know the etiquette. But like we're hearing crazy airline in the air stories of people being fucking monsters.
Yes.
And like just entitled, selfish, talking on the speakerphone out loud people. But it's a weird like epidemic of selfish people.
Yes, it is.
And I'm here to right
that
the wrong.
wrong.
I feel like, let's end this part here. I feel like I will only have these outbursts so rarely. But I feel like that outburst, if anyone else would have heard me or an employee would have heard me, they would have nodded at me with like a silent, like, yes, we're all thinking it. You know?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sure.
I don't mean to justify myself, but.
You know what? I've decided I'm going to save scams. We have so many things to cover, and I feel like we can really talk about that because I wanted to talk about
Women's health. Let's go to our women's health segment.
Oh, okay.
Please. I don't know anything. I've been waiting all week to hear about this.
Well, I kind of wanted to wait and just see how things go, but I'll give the update and then I'll give the other update. Why not?
And I'll give my advice.
I can't wait to hear your advice. So anyone who's listening knows that I had this like period from hell while in Canada. I went to my doctor, who I love, and it turns out, luckily, my like ovaries are fine. I have a polyp in my uterus.
What's that mean exactly? What's a polyp?
It's like a skin tag inside your uterus, but my uterus sees that as like something to be expelled. So, and also, I guess with my hormones, like the ultrasound tech was like, you have very thick lining.
What does that mean?
Means I have like high estrogen and that there's a lot of lining in the uterus, like it's built up a lot. So I'm going to have a large period, basically, which I'm currently having. So, but I had two options.
Okay.
One is that they can go in, and since I'm not having any more kids and I don't have like endometrial cancer in my family.
Okay.
Basically go in, do a surgery, and just burn off all of the inside of my uterus, which sounds horrible, but she said it's very quick and pretty easy recovery.
Okay.
And then like your periods just go away.
How's that work?
Because it's all like scarred over, so it doesn't grow the lining.
And what are the reasons people normally have this procedure? Why would you get this?
Really, really insanely heavy periods and bad cramping and all of that.
So if you get this though, besides the bleeding, does it mitigate any of the other problems associated with the periods, cramps and?
I think cramps, yeah.
It does.
Now it wouldn't. The ovulation pain is like a whole separate thing, and my ovaries would still be there working and stuff, which is important to me because without your ovaries, then your hormones are all fucked up and whatever.
Okay.
But the other option is to go on birth control, which I have done now. Yeah. I'm like 4 days in, and I'm really curious to see how it goes. Now, it's a very low hormone birth control. I have to take it like at exactly the same time every day, or it can mess things up. Like I'll get like breakthrough bleeding or whatever.
What's breakthrough bleeding?
Where you're like bleeding in between periods.
Oh.
So
now, okay.
But I'm very excited to see how it goes. And so far, now day one, I had like a real rage situation.
Yes. Let's talk about that for a quick second.
It was like my PMS day that you've now pointed out. You can tell that I'm about to get my period.
Sure.
I felt it was, and it's always about the house and how clean it is and stuff. And I was just like, we had family coming over and I was trying to get things clean and felt so overwhelmed. And we got done and everything was great. And then like once we did, I totally had the like, oh, everything's fine. Like, but I was feeling upset to the point that I was crying.
Before I got home, I was at Home Depot when the worst of this happened.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, when we got home, you were very kindly when I walk in the door, said, I just want to let you know you probably said I'm overwhelmed with how much cleaning there is and I'm in a mood. Or you said something like that was like, this is affecting me. And I was like, do you want a sandwich? And you're like, yeah, I'll have a sandwich. I'm like, what kind of sandwich? And then you're like, I don't know. I'll get my sandwich later. So I made lunch for the kids and I'm outside eating lunch with the kids. And they go, where's Mom? And I saw you through the window in their room cleaning. And I said, Mama's on a cleaning mission right now. And our son said, yeah, she is. And it's all your fault. Those were his exact words. Yeah, she is. And it's all your fault. And then I tried to record him because I knew that was gold right there. And I was like, tell me more. And there was in our kitchen, we have kind of like almost like a junk cabinet where we keep like all the vitamins. We keep our COVID tests and like random appliance filters and crap like that. But he told me that you opened that cabinet door and you were like, at how disheveled and messy it was.
And then he goes, what's wrong? And I said, I'm very frustrated with Daddy. And then this is very funny, though. Do you have that recording?
I do. Yeah.
I want you to play it because it's also funny because you played it later for me and my sister. And
well, they might be able to hear it better now because it was on my when I tried to play it for you guys.
Well, you had the presence of mind to record this, but I also find it hilarious that you didn't have the presence of mind to stop eating chips throughout this whole recording.
Wait, so what would it have been? April? Let's see if this translates. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
She is super stressed. Was she talking about it while we were gone?
Yes.
What was she saying?
She was like, ugh. Like, she was super frustrated.
Well, we'll help Mama clean up today.
I think that's all we got.
She was super frustrated.
Yeah, that's okay.
Anyway, but so the birth control, I think, and then this other side effect, which I find odd because I think on birth control you tend to gain weight, is my understanding. But
Okay.
I don't have as much of an appetite. Like this morning, I just ate cereal. Like normally when I wake up, I'm like, oh, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
And I like have never understood people who forget to eat. And this morning, like I just got home and it was later and I was like, oh wait, I haven't even eaten yet. And then that day when I was like, I'll make my own sandwich, I ended up just having a yogurt.
Yeah.
So, but I think everything's supposed to even out. We'll see how this goes. It's nice to know I have this other option of this laser situation.
And did they say that like you had this period, but you didn't have like another period without these new interventions, right? So is your period, or does this period you're having now wouldn't be affected by what you're on? Like, is this a big period again?
Yes. Not as big, and I'm more prepared, and I'm at home, and I have my stuff, and but yeah, like I used to have like 3-day situations, and then it would be like the 4th day, like just a little bit.
Gotcha.
Now it's like full on 7-day long circuses down there.
Wow, red wedding.
Red wedding? Oh yeah,
right.
Yes. So anyway, that's the women's health update.
Gosh, I don't have much advice except keep trying these things and see what works for you.
Oh,
the laser thing. Here's what I would say about the laser thing, though, and we have not had a conversation about this. Make sure to find out the side effects stuff of that, because that just sounds scary. Anytime you're doing anything inside, it freaks me out.
Yeah.
You know?
Oof. Yep. Great. Thank you for that advice, Andrew.
I feel like it's my duty to give women's health advice.
Did you have something else that you wanted to ask me about?
Let me look on my notes here. Let's see. Nobody's listening, right? Oh, yeah.
Oh, boy.
No, I wrote the complete dialogue of the exchange I had with the kids. And then I had also, I also wrote down, this is so dumb because we've talked about it, but in the moment I had saw that, remember how I pointed out yesterday that you got a different type of salsa? I had wrote down here that I thought it was funny that there was no way in hell that I would mention that you got the wrong salsa that day because I would have been so afraid of your reaction. But I since let you know that you did get the wrong salsa.
Yeah.
But
happy accident.
Another happy accident. I think we like that. There's a taqueria style and then there's mild salsa. And we like them both, it turns out, from our local grocery store.
We do. Okay, so while our family was here, we talked about something that you and I hadn't talked about, and I wanted to get your honest reaction to it.
Okay.
Which is that we have different energy styles throughout the day.
Oh, yeah.
And, and this actually came up last night.
Did it?
Yeah.
Tell me how.
So I've had night terrors in the past, and I'm a light sleeper, and sleep does not come to me the way it does for you. And so when it's time to go to bed, I like to ease into bedtime with dim the lights.
You sound so annoying saying this. Everyone likes to dim the lights.
No, but you don't. Here's the thing, and correct me if I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. You don't really notice things like light and noise the way I do. Or we just deal with it differently. Because oftentimes I'll come in here and you're working in the almost pitch dark.
I like that sometimes in the morning a lot.
So you do understand the need to have different lights at different times. Mm-hmm. Because also in the morning, I like to ease into the morning. I don't like it to be getting yelled, not and of course no one likes getting angrily yelled at, but hey guys, it's time to wake up, or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. That really bothers me.
Okay.
But going to bed, I like dimming the lights, getting quiet, kind of turning off brains, sliding into sleep. And you get this second wind right before sleep where you're giddy. Mm-hmm. And that's when you really want to have the chats and things like that. And also you like to be, so what happened last night is you like to be on your phone where the screen is bright, and it really bothers me when I'm falling asleep or I am asleep and I turn over and then I have this bright screen.
Okay.
That's what happened last night. And then in the mornings.
Yeah.
I tend to wake up earlier. This morning, I had to get up and do some work. But I also like to get up earlier because I like to not be talked to, or I just like to be, I like it to be I don't exist until I do. Mm. And so I like to wake up, get my coffee. But you, even though you sleep later than me, the moment I'm stirring, you're hey. And oftentimes, I would get my shoes on because I'm going for my early morning walk. What are you doing? It's I'm going for my walk I go on all the time.
You're not, but that's not fair because a lot of the times you won't go on the walk. And sometimes I'm why did she hit the snooze button 3 times and I have to wake up a gazillion times?
This is your big
what
go-to
are you doing?
Is that I press the snooze button occasionally, which
Way
you
too
do
much.
as well.
Well, now I do.
Don't deflect to your beefs.
I hear you. I also want you to know that you sound like someone that doesn't want to talk in the morning or in the evening to their husband. And sometimes that's the only time we can talk. You know what I mean?
No.
And I just want to connect and chat. And I feel like you're shutting me out.
Okay. No, but really, is this helpful for you to know, or Is it a bummer?
This isn't a new revelation. You've made it abundantly clear that you don't like my kind of hyper second wind in the evenings.
What about mornings, though? We've never talked about
We've
that.
never talked about it, and it is it's disappointing. Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm glad I know.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's like don't poke the bear in the mornings. So now I know
That's perfect.
to not poke the bear,
Great.
especially when she's on her period.
Oh my God. Okay.
Let's see. I don't really have any off limits hours. My office hours are pretty open for you.
Oh my God. Here's my comeback to that.
Yeah.
You would be cool with me at 5:45 being like, "Hey Andy, blah 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 blah
Up
blah."
at 5:45.
But exactly.
Oh, but honestly though, probably I'd be all right with that.
Okay.
We're different like that.
We are just
I
different.
respect you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Um,
We still are learning about each other 20 years in or whatever. It's cool.
but I feel like we knew. I didn't really know about the morning situation.
But it was fun talking about this with my sister because she was like, we are so related because she has the exact same situation. She wants no one to acknowledge her.
Gotcha.
Don't look the animal in the eye. Yeah. Type thing.
Fair enough.
Well, on that note, I guess we should say goodnight.
All right. That was fun.
Yeah.
Good night.
Good night. Shh.